Welcome to Talk Birdie-tome. This is Australia's most popular golf podcast, with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn, the only player to beat Tiger Woods twice in match play, and tour pro Mark Allen, who played professional golf around the world for 15 years, including a British Open. We're coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist is the number one ball in golf, and FootJoy is the number one shoe and glove in golf. And thanks to our great partners, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. Download from the App Store or Google Play. Ping, as with Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. See your local golf shop or professional for a Ping Club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now that's better. Now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, it's time for Talk Birdie-tome. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to Talk Birdie-tome. We love doing these, don't we, Nick? And a page on social media which really caught our eye a long time ago is Monday Q.
Well, because we've done them ourselves, right?
We've done it.
We've been there, done that.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I turned professional, my first tour was the Australian circuit.
Yeah.
And, of course, only the top 60 were exempt. And back in those days, if you qualified on Monday, made the cut, then you would get straight in the very next week.
Mm.
And it was a great way of doing it. And I remember my first year in 1990, I made the qualifying in the very first tournament, the New Zealand Open.
Nice.
I missed the next 16 cuts in a row. But I qualified every single Monday. Single Monday. And then the very last one, we're back in New Zealand again, and I think I shot 67 in the last round,
right.
And I didn't have to go back to the tour school. And that season was a big win for me.
It is.
But Monday queuing was such a big part of professional golf. Now, I'm not sure how much you used to have to qualify.
I used to, my big break came from after Monday qualifying into the Australian Open, the one that I led and then almost won. That was, I had the Monday queue to get in that. And then I also had to do it in the States when I was traveling around playing back then, what was called the Nike Tour.
Yeah.
And then I also had to do a few Monday queues on the PGA Tour towards the end of my career. And I tell you, Monday queues have changed a lot, because if you're not shooting 7 or 8 under, just don't even bother.
Well, and for folks and probably for our guests as well, Ryan French, I'll get to in just a second, that Australian Open where you made your breakthrough is the very famous Nick O'Who back page of the Herald Sun, because they didn't know where you were, they didn't know where you came from, but you had the Monday queue that week, and you're leading after 2 rounds, and of course the headline on the back page of all the Melbourne papers the next day was Nick O'Who, which was fabulous. Anyway, Monday queue, if you're not across it right now, you need to get on while you're listening.
Yes.
Go to @ACaseOfTheGolf1 or just look up Monday queue. And the fellow who got all this started is a bloke named Ryan French.
Guys, thanks for having me on. What a great story, Nick. The headline is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I've ended up using it as my alter ego as a right-handed golfer now, because I've got a left-handed handicap and a right-handed handicap. I couldn't do it under Nick O'Hearn, so it's Nick O'Who.
So, Ryan, I reckon I must have caught your page on Twitter. I reckon it must have been 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know when you started, but your page is dedicated to telling the stories about what happens on Monday. And I know you branch off from time to time, but how did you get into it? What made you think of it?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it as short as I can, guys. So I played college golf, junior college golf, and then kind of my wake-up call into – I've always been a golf nerd. And then my wake-up call into how many good players there were in the world was I tried to walk on at a 4-year school, and I thought I was pretty good. And then I realized that I wasn't that good. After school, my dad and I would take a caddy trip and go caddy on a mini tour. So instead of playing, we would go caddy on a mini tour. And that was definitely, I knew because of my college experience how good players were, but I never really thought of the outside aspect of pro golf that you guys know so well, right? Like missing 16 cuts in a row and all of those things. And my wake up morning about the life outside of the golf course was my dad and I used to camp. That was our tradition. And I went into a public bath and and there was a player there, and I was like, "What is he doing here?" And he's like, "I pulled my camper around." So fast forward many years. My son had brain surgery. I left my job as a restaurant general manager. I ran a group of restaurants, and I started this Twitter account. And while my son recovered, somehow it's blown up into this.
Amazing. Hey, just before we go any further, you got a bear out the window there or something?
I know.
Where are you? In the woods?
My dog is my old 13-year-old Basset Hound is laying next to me growling.
Oh, that's awesome.
Show me him.
Yeah, let's
point the camera down there. I want to see him.
Yeah. Oh, this one. Yeah, there he is. He has his own mattress.
Oh, how good!
Beautiful old doggy.
Brilliant. That's cool.
Yeah, he's great. I'm trying to. I don't know what he's mad about, but we'll get him quieted down here in a moment.
Yeah. Well, I hope. By the way, I hope your son's okay and everything worked out.
He's doing great.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic.
He's doing great.
So tell me this, Ryan. You start the page. You're a golf dork. You get a couple of these stories. When did you know you were onto something?
I think a couple. It was actually an Australian guy. So I was the first idea was to just put out links to the scoring for Monday Qualifiers. As you guys know, they're listed on different websites everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the first stories I told was of Steve Allen. And I just very much put out a tweet of like, Steve lost his status this many years ago, and he's been to this many Monday Qualifiers. And it was 10 minutes of research, and like people were interested. And then the really like moment that was kind of like the big like, oh, this might be a thing. It was 2018 Honda Monday. Nick knows it's a huge Monday. It was a great event back in those days, and so the Monday would be like filled with guys that you would know.
I might have been there. I might have been Monday Qualifier because I was still living there, and they
might have been there.
Where did they used to play that one? I'm trying to remember the name of the golf course. Yeah. It was a tough little track too. The scores weren't that low there. It might have been 5 under or something rather than 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So Anyway, sorry.
So. No, it's okay. So the playoff went to Tuesday morning, and I had my son. I was staying at home, and I started just tweeting. The section was sending me literally shot by shot, and like I remember Sang Moon Bay was in it and be like, Sang Moon Bay, hit it right, and I would just tweet out like Sang Moon Bay's in the right fairway, and I just tweeted out shot by shot, and it went like 5 or 6 holes, and we got to the time I was supposed to take my daughter and son to school, and I just tweeted out like, should I make my kids late for school and keep tweeting out the qualifier, the playoff, or should I take them to school? And everybody was like, you have to stay. And so my kids were literally late to school because I was tweeting out the results of the Honda Tuesday playoff. So
screw the quiz.
Exactly. School's overrated.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that was definitely my moment of like, man, this is like people care about this. And guys, looking back, I think, as you guys know, it's like it is. There's no one covering this, and people. All of the coverage in golf is the top players in the world, and this is the reality of pro golf for 90% or 95% of players.
Yeah, and that's what people focus on is the private jets and these guys top 50 in the world, all that sort of thing, which is fantastic. But the stories that you don't see and rarely hear about. One of my favorite books is A Good Walk Spoiled. I don't know if you've read that by John Feinstein.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And that book has all these little mini tour stories about players coming up like a Paul Goydos or a Brian Henniger and those sorts of players where you go, wow, these guys are unbelievably talented, and yet, they're struggling to get out on the PGA Tour. And you must see so many of those types of players. I mean, are there any like 2 or 3 players where you've seen kind of come up through the entire ranks that you thought, well, this guy's, he's okay, but now, wow, hang on, he's a bit of a superstar?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many players, as you know, guys, like I keep saying it to you, it's like for 90% of players, pro golf is a process. Like Andrew Novak, the last 2 weeks, Sean Martin just tweeted in his first 2 years as a pro, he made $30,000. This year he's made more than Scotty Scheffler. But I take the question from a different perspective, Nick, as you know, is that there's so many number one guys that never make it, right? There's the quote unquote can't miss kid that just never, that misses, quite frankly, right? Like Norman Zhang was the best college player in the world. There was like no doubt he was going to walk onto the PGA Tour and win a bunch. And, he's injured and back and forth. And it's what I've loved about golf. Not that I love that top players miss. It's just that it's the most democratic sport in the world, right? It's like, go to first stage or at a Monday qualifier, things aren't always equal leading up to that moment, but when the tee's in the ground, you guys are equals and the best score wins. And no one can tell you don't hit it far enough or don't do this or that. Go shoot a score and you're going to figure out a way to make it.
Hey, Ryan, I got in touch with you. I was doing some work with 3AW. I do a little bit of fill-in stuff on the breakfast show. And I got in touch with you. There was a player coming down to last year's Australian Open. And there was an amazing story about that, how they got some – what was that story?
It's not about Riggs Johnson, is it? The guy who won.
I don't think it was about Riggs, but we ended up –
Oh, Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, that's it. So you sent me Mike's phone number, and the regular guys on the breakfast show actually interviewed him on the plane when he was on the plane flying. Yeah, but seriously, he was on the plane. The plane he was on had good enough Wi-Fi.
Wow.
What was that? Because this is a story that I got up because I watch what you do on your page.
Mike's a great story. So Mike had a good college career. His dad's a legendary club pro in the New York area. Got on the Korn Ferry right away, and then lost his status. He had the chipping yips for a long time, but he just kept at it. He played in this pro-am for Brandon Matthews is a PGA Tour player, and he has this big pro-am for charity. It's $100,000 purse. And Mike had maxed out his credit cards, and he literally slept in the parking lot of the pro-am and showered in the clubhouse and had worked hard to cure his yips and won the event. Won $50,000 and kept his career going. So was able to sign up for DP World Tour last year, made it to final stage, then missed the cut, but had challenge tour status. Well, as you guys know, not everybody figures out their visa or whatever. Yeah. So the list for the DP World Tour and the Aussie Open goes way down. So Mike goes home, is in New York, and gets a call that he's in the Australian Open. Will he come? And he's like, yeah, I'm coming. And so we raised a bunch of money for him.
That's right.
We paid for his flight. It was I think $3,000 for a one-way ticket. He got in at 7 a.m. Thursday.
Oh, wow.
You guys found him a caddy.
That's right.
And then he had a caddy, and he went out and played. He didn't play good the first day, and then played good. He still missed the cut, but shot 78 and then 71 or something and missed the cut. But very much what my account is he's are the odds he's going to ever make the cut? No, but he has a chance and has a tee time, and he's going to go tee it up.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Monday Qualifiers. and unfortunately, it's kind of, the PGA Tour are limiting those now because the field sizes are dropping. Yeah. So those 4 spots, in some cases, the 100 or 120 man fields, I think they're going, right? And then in the larger event fields, I think they're going to drop them to 2 players maybe. But you don't get those stories Patrick Reed, basically 1 year, what did he qualify? 5 or 6 times 1 year, and that's how he got his tour card. And you're going to miss out on those types of stories now.
So that's what I want to ask you, Ryan. I mean, I've got a real fascination. I mean, I understand qualifying for Australasian Tour events, right? I get it. We're just a mini tour down here in the South Pacific. But there has been a 4-spotter for PGA Tour events for as long as I can remember. And some of the scores, I mean, I know I tried to 4-spot quite a few times.
Same here.
And I used to play with blokes, so they'd be 2 under after 9. And they'd walk off. They'd shake hands and go, listen,
100%.
I'll see you later, buddy, because, there'd already been 3 9-unders in there and they heard somebody else was going ballistic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want you to save your Mona Lisa of stories for after our break, but tell us about just some of the ridiculous situations where all these players right across America turn up and try and force spot on a Monday for the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean, it is like that. That's what I think the PGA Tour is missing by getting rid of a large portion of these. It's very unique in sports. There's a million great stories. We'll talk about some of my favorites later, but I'll use one that kind of drives home why I love Monday Qualifiers. I'm only going to talk about Australian guys, I guess. Ted Belkin is a guy who was a pizza store manager and an assistant pro, living in Texas. So an Aussie guy living in Texas. Got through the pre-Q, had to work Sunday, so couldn't play a practice round for Monday. And then shot the round of his life and got through. And he missed the cut by like 9. I think it was this week. I think it was the Byron Nelson that did it. And I sent him a message on Friday. Like I always, if there's any good stories, want to talk to him like as they're leading up to the week. And then I sent him on Friday and he missed the cut by 9. I didn't expect, anything. And he was like, Ryan, it's the greatest week of my life. He played a practice round with Sendin and like Alvaro Quiros and he was like, I know that I'm probably never going to be good enough to play professional golf. And I walked the same fairways as some of the best players in the world, got to play with some of my heroes that I grew up watching on TV. It's the greatest thing ever. And I was like, whoa, it like really drove home. And I think in today's golf world, where it's a lot of ugliness, a lot of money, a lot of, wow, the top players are making too much and people are getting $100 million contracts and PIP and all that, is like what the PGA Tour loses by getting rid of Mondays is normalizing a sport. I can relate to Ted Belkin. I can't relate to Scotty, right?
Yeah.
And I think all of us can relate against defying odds and chasing our dream despite the math that 100 guys are showing up for 4 spots. It just doesn't make sense logically, but it makes sense when you're out there and you believe you should be on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. It's a bit like, the bloke on the street who's pretty good at stickball, but just one week he gets to play in the show for the New York Yankees or something.
Yeah.
He gets to do it just once. And these are the stories that you tell all the time. Now, that's the front 9. Ryan, I'm looking forward to your Mona Lisa.
Yeah, we've shot 4 under the 9, front 9. We're not walking away.
We're going to play the back 9. We're going to hang in there and try and get the 10 under so we can play the Byron Nelson this week. More of Ryan French, and like I said, during the break, have a look him up. Monday Q is the name of the page. At A Case of the Golf 1 is where you can find it.
We're live from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. We all know the number 1 ball in golf is Titleist and the number 1 shoe and glove in golf is FootJoy. We're here thanks to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will always help you play your best. Turn your bogeys into birdies with the Watch My Numbers app, and Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. That's better. Now, back to Talk Birdie-Tome. Here's Nick and Mark.
Right, I don't know what you have on the 10th tee over in the States these days. Maybe some fish tacos or something. We have party pies, Ryan, and we just had a couple of crackers. And absolutely. Right, now, I reckon a lot of your stories, I think people who tell golfing tales, a lot of your stories would be their Mona Lisa. But I guarantee I've missed a couple. What's your number 1?
This is my Mona Lisa. I was traveling home from San Diego, and I just started traveling a lot. And so I promised my wife when I got home that like I would shut my phone off and like we would just have some family time. So I land in a little airport in my home city. My phone rings, and this guy says, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "Yeah, I hear that a lot, And he said, "The cops are here. There's a fight happening at the Monday Qualifier. And I was like, I just remember turning to my wife and was like, I'm not going to have any family time. So the details make it so wonderfully Monday Q. So Corn Ferry at a very average municipal golf courses where a lot of Corn Ferries are played. One guy is about to shoot 80. He hits it in the woods. He says to the other guy, why don't you come help me? That guy says, you suck. I'm not coming to help you. They end up getting in a physical fight, but the little details are so amazing. So the dad of one of the players grabs his son's putter and is keeping people away from breaking up the fight with a putter. No one will break up the fight.
He wants the fight to happen.
Yeah. And then one of the kids gets the other kid in an arm bar and makes him say uncle, which is like my grandpa, that's not something anyone my age would ever say. Uncle. Like uncle was like something my dad would say, grandpa would. And then, I don't know why this is my favorite part, but the guy's name is Derek Fribbs. He still plays. He was the third member in the threesome. And so I call him, and he's understandably after the round kind of flustered. One kid has been arrested, okay? One kid has quit because he's been beat up. But then I don't know why this is my favorite part, but Derek Fribbs is the one player left. And the police are interviewing him as he goes up the 10th hole. I don't know. I never saw a picture of it, but you could just picture it in your mind. Like this poor kid has spent $500 on an entry fee, traveled to Kansas City, Missouri to Monday qualify. There's been a fight, and I think he was like 2 under, like probably out of it, but not totally out of it.
Yeah.
And he's walking up the 10th hole by himself after one has been arrested playing partner, and one has been beat up. And he's interviewed by police. Man, it ended up on, I had some viral type stories, but that one ended up on Fox News. And I was like, oh my God, what has happened? It was insane.
Scotty Scheffler eat your heart out for his arrest at the PGA.
That is right. Well, Ryan, your Mona Lisa didn't disappoint. It's not like when you see the real Mona Lisa, it's only as big as an A4 piece of paper. Keep doing what you're doing, Ryan. I'm so glad that the PGA Tour have made you an employee as well. I just can't get my head around that. I mean, from where you started to where you are today, in the woods with the bear by your side, making crazy noises and doing what you love.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. Ryan, congratulations, mate.
Nick, you guys, I've been big fans of you way before I was doing any of this. I was always loved the grinders. Nick, you were out there grinding away, so
grinding.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
good on you, Ryan.
Appreciate it.
Thanks again, mate. Thanks again. You make a lot of people happy.
Guys.
Yeah, thanks for keeping us up to date with it all. How good was that story?
Oh, mate. Have you? I've been close to seeing fights in my group, but it was always in amateur golf, not really in pro golf.
Well, that story resonated with me because I remember playing. Well, up in the late 90s, I went across, played what was Nike Tour back then, Corn Ferry Tour now, Monday Qualifier. If you miss, you play the local mini tour event.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
That's right.
So I ended up playing a local mini tour event in Virginia somewhere, I think, and then Alana and I, we drove 21 hours straight to get to somewhere in. I'm thinking it might have been Kansas or something like that. We were going across the country and we rock up, I don't know, an hour before the tee time. We drove through the night, all this sort of stuff.
Crazy town.
Crazy stuff. I'd sleep, Alana would drive. If Alana would sleep, I'd drive. Get to the tee and there's some guy I'm playing with. I don't think he was going to break 100. Right. I mean, all you got to do is pay your money. If you pay your money, you can have a crack at it.
That's it.
This is the Corn Ferry Tour, obviously, not the PGA Tour, but
it's a nightmare when you get one of those.
Yeah, and the guy's pulling out his mobile phone as he's talking on the way around, and I'm looking at him going, mate, I'm playing pretty good here. Can you help me out? And, anyway, he was just crazy. He said, I've paid my money. I can do whatever I want. It's like some of the stories from those mini tours are out of control.
Anyway, I hope it never goes. I hope the Monday, even if it's just can you imagine what the scores are going to be like if it's just 2 get through, not a 4 spot? It's just a 2 spot?
Yeah, it might be, 59s. You might have to start rating Q School 59s.
Well,
Monday Q 59s.
They some of them would probably get a high rating.
Yes.
Yeah. Higher than Elvis's one. Anyway.
The page is on the screen. If you're not following it, you need to go and follow it now.
Yeah, there he goes. And he's a terrific fella too, Ryan French. Good on you, Nick.
Thanks, mate.
Folks, we'll see you next time.
All right.
And that's been Talk Birdie, Australia's most popular golf podcast with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. As everyone knows, Titleist is the #1 ball in golf and FootJoy the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to subscribe, maybe leave a review, and we'd love you to share the pod with a friend who loves their golf. Huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Ping, like they do for Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional for a Ping Club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet always beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. Watch My Numbers is the most powerful data-based golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. And better, they've got the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Download from the App Stores today. Now that's better. Keep in mind, what are you really gambling with? But for now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.